Kamala is Obama in drag. She's another case of someone who poses as black, but not really black, meaning not having lived the typical experience of many African Americans. That's what we mean when we're talking about, are you black? We're not talking about this color of your skin, but that's what they're trying to reduce it to. Heck, her family owned slaves. But slavery aside, the question is one of authenticity. She goes around the country switching accents depending on where she is. If it's an area with a large black population, she switches to that urban-centric sort of thing in her speech patterns and her cadence, just like Obama did. If the audience isn't predominantly black, is not, she reverts back to her Berkeley, California/Toronto, Canada speech patterns. Here she is on Monday, first in Detroit and then in Pittsburgh, giving the exact same speech.
You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time. Thank unions for sick leave. Thank unions for paid family leave. Thank unions for your vacation time.
Communists call that code switching, changing accents to appeal to your audience. Funny, when a white guy does it, the commies call it cultural appropriation. At this point, Kamala should just let the N-word fly without the R. Imagine what the media would do if Trump ever did anything like this. The issue is the complete phoniness of it all. That's the issue here. Kamala is not black by the commonly accepted meaning of that label in America, referencing the descendancy of slavery, which Kamala has as much in common with as Hillary Clinton.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
Since one is standing up in front of an ethnic group of which you have virtually no shared experience, and experience is the key here, not just some little trace sample of DNA. Since when is that acceptable, or at the very least not condemnable? It's hypocritical to call it cultural appropriation if someone with no little to none shared life experience with the audience does it, but somehow it becomes praiseworthy if someone whose only significant commonality with the audience is a skin tone, and a light tone at that. The Associated Press, bastion of journalistic integrity, recently hired a black reporter to head up its, get this now, race coverage during the campaign. Dutifully, among his first articles was an apologia for Harris. With zero experience of living the African-American experience, the actual African-American experience, he starts apologizing for her and praising her for her phony black dialect. He praised her, in fact, for her ability to code switch. Don't you just love how communists create new terms out of thin air to cover up their politics? You wonder if in this fellow's race coverage, again, never really specific about what that means, he's going to cover any of these types of issues. The history of Margaret Sanger targeting the black community. Even Planned Parenthood had to finally admit this truth bomb. How about the disaster of fatherless homes on young black men? Obama himself mentioned this a generation ago publicly. The leading cause of deaths among blacks is black on black crime, not white cops. Is he going to do a story on why many younger black men are supporting Trump? Unless it's to slam them, AP will never touch that story. The near dissipation of religion within the black community. What happened to Negro spirituality? It was a mainstay for generations. How about how black pastors sold out to the Democrats and their congregations got nothing for it? There's actually a couple of books out recently about that. And the 800-pound gorilla in the room, the exorbitant killing of black babies through abortion compared to all other ethnic groups, it's off the charts. If AP wants to devote ink to race coverage, well, there's some jumping off points for you. But alas, as we know, you won't see any of those topics. Just how cool Kamala's fake accent is and how if you don't vote for her, you ain't black. Fortunately, a lot of African Americans are waking up to being screwed over by Democrats. The same Democrats who supported slavery, started the KKK, fought against the passage of the Civil Rights Act with the longest filibuster in U.S. history, and for 60 years have kept blacks in economic slavery. But with indignation, they're going to attack Justice Clarence Thomas, Dr. Ben Carson, Senator Tim Scott, and the other blacks who dare to wander off their plantation. In fact, it was fashionable not that long ago for liberal blacks to slam such men as Uncle Toms and to use the expression, they just passin', meaning they were passing themselves off as essentially white to just get ahead. But when Kamala does this, well, she's just code switching, having to deal in a white world just to act that way just to get ahead. It's okay for her, but when Dr. Ben Carson or Clarence Thomas does it, oh, that's awful. They're Uncle Toms. The double standards are simply outrageous. It's the same approach when a pro-life man is attacked for speaking about abortion because he ain't a woman and he shouldn't have an opinion on abortion. But when Chucky Schumer, for example, comes out in support of that child killing, well, no pro-abort woman tell him he has to shut up and sit down because he ain't a woman. Race and gender are cover-ups. They're cheap, hypocritical attempts to gain the high moral ground. If only women can talk about abortion, then why attack all the pro-life women? If only blacks can talk about race, then why attack all the conservative blacks? The mark of the diabolical is willful deception in the cause of advancing evil. And for that, it ain't your skin color or tone or sex that matters, but the wickedness of your heart. God love you. I'm Gary Michael Voris.